Welcome to the Pitchwerks podcast. I'm Scott McTaggart. Over the last 20 years, I've been a sales rep, a marketer, a manager, an executive, a consultant, and an advisor. This show is designed to give you access to my list of contacts so that you can learn more about how to present your ideas at work and succeed in your career.
Startups and salespeople, marketers and managers from the Epicast Network in Pittsburgh. It's the Pitchwerks podcast.
We've had a number of people call our support line for the sole purpose of saying, I saw the parking enforcement officer walking down the street.
Oh, boy.
I pulled out my phone and pushed the button and paid for parking in less than 10 seconds. And I got out getting a parking ticket.
Hey, everybody, it's Scott. It is Wednesday. Welcome back to your Pitchwerks podcast, and I have brought fan favorite James Gibbs. Jim from Meter Feeder is back in the studio from episode 1 of this fine program. We're going to check up with Jim. He's got just apparently all kinds of interesting news that I apparently have to read about in the newspaper these days because he's very important. But before we start the interview, let me remind you that if this is the first time you are listening to our fine program, subscription is highly recommended. Whatever podcast app you use, you can subscribe to the show, and then you get it immediately on Wednesday mornings. It comes in like 6 a.m., something like that. You'll get it before everybody else, which sounds like a deal. So Jim's in here. Very first episode of this show, we had Jim come in and talk to us about, basically just getting into Y Combinator and what that was and what it means. But, Meter Feeder's all grown up now. And, they've got these major partners that, apparently have a lot of different properties, and there's interesting things going on. I'm really glad Jim was able to come in and kind of update us as far as what's going on over there. So returning to the Epicast studios here in Pittsburgh, we've got the one, the only James Gibbs. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How you doing,
It's
Scott?
weird to have you back.
Yeah. It's funny because one of the first things that I thought about was, you talk about, you share your contacts. I was like, I hope Scott hasn't run out of contacts because I'm coming back twice.
No, God, no. When I saw, that you were making this announcement, and we got to get into this in a minute, but, I was like, why haven't we had Jim back in? I was like, he's going to think that we, don't like him or something.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it. You have this big announcement with this parking operator that has a bunch of sites, and you started operating at an airport?
Yeah. At the point of this recording, we've gone live on January 1st,
and today's the 4th.
It's the 4th.
So 3 days later, to put you on the front burner with the spotlight on you.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully the gray hairs grow at a little bit slower rate as they've been going.
Only one way to find out.
But so we've been heads down mode.
Yeah,
really paying attention to the small to mid-sized municipality. Just making sure that they're happy and have the ability to access digital payment and digital enforcement.
So we got to go back. The last time anybody in the Pitchwerks audience heard from you, right? We were talking about things that were, I have to say, just based on looking at the mode you're in now, it's a lot has changed.
True.
Back then you used to say things like, we make parking easier. Right, your pitch was fairly straightforward, but now it seems like, if you're partnered up with an operator, one of these property management type firms for parking garages, a lot has to have changed. What are you doing now that's different?
So, the name of the company that we're working with is Target Park, and they have over 225 locations across North America.
How about that?
So,
that ain't bad.
That is not bad, but definitely keeping me busy. Right?
Oh yeah.
But one of the first things that they asked was if we had the ability to white label an app for them, and we can.
Yeah. Lucky for all involved.
Exactly. So it was one of those things where, educating the customer and having them really understand what it is that we do and the benefit behind it, right?
Yeah.
And then, they kind of got a peek behind the curtain and kind of saw how we can do everything at such a low cost.
Yeah.
And we kind of brought them in, made their own app, and now they kind of roll it out to their locations. And, that's the parking operator side of things.
So operators of the future?
Yeah, I mean,
we should tell people what operators are, right? I mean, these
Gotcha.
are people that are like property managers is what you're
yeah,
basically trying to sell to.
Yeah, they're kind of like property managers. Pretty much they manage a plot of land that people happen to park on.
Yeah.
And then just try to get them, the owners of the land, as much money as they can. Right?
So it's, just like a property management firm trying to get the rent that they can for this office space versus that office space. And
exactly.
Whatnot. All right. How hard is that?
Well, they do that. It's
No. I mean, how hard is it to get to those people?
Oh, how hard is it to get to those people? Well, I mean, there's these wonderful things like parking expos and stuff like that,
Right,
where
yeah.
you can go and hobnob with, the parking elites, right?
Yeah,
So-
there's technology for everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So it's one of those situations where, when you sit down and actually talk to folks, and a lot of times people have problems and they can't even verbalize what those problems are.
Okay.
Right. So when all of a sudden they're like, wait a second, when there's no one inside to actually pay for the parking.
Yeah.
Now what? Right. We have a whole bunch of people who sit in a booth and collect cash.
Yeah.
Now what? Right. We have lots that have quarters. What do we do now?
Yeah, I can only imagine what it's like just trying to keep that running, because I mean, there's only so much security that you can apply as you go out there and harvest all those cash. Like when I was a kid, my dad used to, and I'm going to take you back a minute, right? My dad used to have video arcades, like just regular old coin-op arcades,
Amazing.
right? Now, this was cool because it was all his own little ecosystem. Like he would lock the door before he would start to count the whatever you want to call them, the coin boxes or whatever. Right. But I can only imagine, like, if you're going down these streets at night. Okay. I don't know why let's assume they don't do it at night, right?
Assume that they don't do it at night.
Yeah. I don't know why I jumped there all of a sudden, but you know what I'm saying? Like you're out there and you're exposed, you're outside of your controlled environment, and anything can happen as you're trying to pull this cash into the Brinks truck or wherever you put it.
Right. Well, I mean, that's an important thing as well. Right.
Yeah.
Because when you put a quarter in the meter, what is the chances that that entire quarter makes it into the bank account? Right.
Got it.
I mean, whether on purpose or not on purpose, quarters drop.
They shrink. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's just one of those situations where,
and that's before you even start talking about theft.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of the thing that, when people are worried about, we're getting into credit card processing and the, Visa is going to take a huge chunk of my money. It's like, okay, how about this? Run it a good month and see the difference of what you make. Right. So
when I first started taking credit cards, I got tattooed for like 3.5%. Right. I mean, it's not that much money.
Yeah.
And compared to the potential for theft, I mean, do you even have this pitch? Do you have people push back on you about credit cards?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, for some strange reason, it's become a little bit normal in the parking payment world.
Yeah.
Where, if you have a multi-space meter like a kiosk or something like that, and you put your credit card in, you pay for the cost of the parking.
Yeah.
Right. For some strange reason, when you pay for that same parking through an app, the municipality or whomever wants to actually put that convenience fee back on the user and not take that credit card processing fee.
Represented though as a percentage.
Yeah.
I mean, it still can't be that much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're talking about like, there's places around where you can pay for parking for like 25 cents.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
there's not a lot of those left, man.
you are absolutely correct.
I pay to park here. I pay to make this show. Right. When you were in here for Pitchwerks #1, right? We sat here and we talked a little bit about how, you were brought into this accelerator incubator program out in California called Y Combinator. We focused a lot of time on that, right? But we didn't really focus on the fact that you had made a disruptive decision to be a lot less expensive than the competitive product. And I think people wrongly believe that that's just like a magic bullet. Like if you're the cheapest one or you're a less expensive option, you always win. And I think you probably have the scars to prove it now, right?
You are correct.
Yeah.
I mean, So keeping our burn low was important to us, because there's a guy named Paul Buchheit. He wrote this app called Gmail. You may have heard of it.
I may have heard of Gmail, yes.
So
next you're going to tell me like, oh, yeah, me and that guy hang out. I can feel it coming.
Well, I mean, we're not going to talk about that.
Okay.
But I definitely did go to karaoke at his house.
God.
So I one of the things that he said.
I hang out with Buzzy, okay? And Buzzy's cool too.
I get it. I get it. He seems like a
Buzzy, I need you to invent Gmail. Well, whatever comes next.
Whatever comes next. But yeah, so one of the things that he said that kind of sticks out in my mind is don't spend all your money. Right.
Yeah.
And, so we were very...
Thanks, Gmail guy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was like one of the first things because it's like when somebody, Y Combinator was the first check that we had gotten.
Right.
So it's like when you all of a sudden you get a whole bunch of money, the first thing that you want to do is say, okay, this is how we allocate the money and just go for it.
And obviously more's coming behind it.
Yeah. But
I think that's the assumption, right?
Right. Exactly. But, one of the funny things when we said that we were coming back to Pittsburgh, like while we were in Silicon Valley, like just doors started shutting left and right.
And the Charlie Brown sad music started playing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, a lot of the people that were mentoring you out there maybe don't know who to have you talk to out here.
Well, I mean, not only that, but one of the big questions, like this guy, Michael Seibel, he took me aside and screamed at me for about a good 45 minutes.
That's a long scream.
Yeah. And he was pretty much, I mean, I appreciate so much, that you put so much effort behind it. But
no, that's a real friend.
Yeah.
All seriousness, right? Your real friends will tell you that they think you're making a mistake.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he did, and he knows what he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
He was like, okay, what was the last $1 billion company to come out of Pittsburgh? And I was like, free markets?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a little while. But then, you have companies now like Duolingo. They were just it was 700 million or something like that. So, we are starting to get higher up there in numbers, right? I think Microsoft just purchased another company.
Avir, yeah.
Yeah, so,
I'm probably saying that wrong, but... Avir Systems.
That's kind of why I steered away from it. But nevertheless, I mean...
I'm more than willing to take that bullet for you. Nobody thinks I'm that bright.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like people are starting to put money into Pittsburgh. Right?
Yeah.
I took it one step further. So I didn't set up my office in Pittsburgh. Yeah. I set up my office right outside of Pittsburgh.
In Braddock.
In an economically depressed area. Braddock, yeah.
But it takes no time to get to Braddock.
It takes no time to get to Braddock. And I have an 850 square foot office for $650 a month.
Yeah. I mean, this is not such a terrible thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but you got screamed at by someone who felt like maybe the opportunity was being missed.
Right. And he was absolutely correct, right? Because raising money in Braddock, that's really difficult.
Yeah. And it's not just Braddock.
Right.
It's all kind of people with legit business.
True. Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? When you show up and you say, I have a product that can really set everything up for automated vehicles, right? Because automated vehicles eventually have to pay for parking.
Yeah, you would think.
Right.
Right.
Eventually they need to stop. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of where we were going with it, right? Mm-hmm. And if they say, okay, that sounds futuristic, are you pre-revenue? And we say, no, our revenue is growing at 18% week over week, you would think,
that's it. That's a slam dunk.
Let's go to business.
It's better than your friggin' Scottrade account. I can promise you that much.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but I got a tip. Got a hot tip.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, do you know where I can buy some Bitcoins?
Oh man, yeah. I looked at Bitcoin when they were like $30. I was like, $30.
I read the best article today. It said that somebody once upon a time paid for pizza with Bitcoin. Then those Bitcoins are worth now $150 million. The Bitcoin that they bought pizza with is now worth $150 million.
Yeah.
But you and I talk fairly regularly, if only just because you're a very generous soul. about how people a lot of times get disconnected from the idea of an investment in a startup is an investment. It is like, what will pay me back? If I put $20 into this savings account, in 5 years, I'll have $20.12.
Right.
If I put $20 into Meter Feeder and its revenues are growing 18% week over week, obviously that's better than a savings account, right? And those are our two sort of opposite ends of this particular number line.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I can't believe there's that many better choices. So where's the snag? Like, where's the bottleneck?
Right. I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? Because people who, have money,
Yeah,
they generally want to keep their money,
it's true.
right? And when you look at the rates in which startups go out of business,
Yeah.
it seems like a smart choice to, 9 times out of 10, just keep your money in the savings account and you'll have more money than you would have had if you invested in the startup.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
I'll give you that.
But the thing is, you have to really meet the person, right? The person who's running it.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to quit like once they hit their first snag?
Yeah.
Right. Because I remember my first week out of Y Combinator, there were people who were like, oh, we haven't raised any money yet. I think we're going to quit. And then, Sam Altman like sends out a mass email. If you think you should quit, then quit. I was like, oh, shit.
He's right. No, I completely agree with him.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I get it.
If you think you should quit now, you haven't even seen a bad time yet.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm much too hard-headed in order to just be like, nah, yeah, maybe we should quit,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we just buckled down and kept pushing, right?
Yeah. So you've got this thing now where you finally got to this major operator, and congratulations on being in the Business Times and all the things that go. Like, I'm sure it's other places too, but that's the first place I happened to catch it, right? Is the fact that, people are starting to notice, like, major property managers, major property holders
Right.
are on the Meter Feeder train now. What's next? Like, at the end there was this sort of, and I loved this little hook that you put on there, like, well, we think we're going to be making a bunch of other announcements. I think, did you say early this year or just this year?
Well,
I can't remember what you said.
This quarter.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So yeah, Q1 2018. Yeah. So
So you got a few fireworks lined up.
yeah.
Can you share what any of those are?
Well, I know that we made an announcement in November of last year.
Yeah.
That we released pay by vehicle, which enables people to pay for parking just by turning the car off.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes us like the easy pass for parking.
Look at you do the pitch right there.
Bam.
James Gibbs.
That's what I do. I'm on Pitchwerks.
You are on Pitchwerks. And so I've got a car. I turn it off.
Right.
And the parking is paid immediately.
Right.
And you said it's like easy pass for parking.
Right.
Okay. So is that one of the announcements, or are we counting that as like a November last year announcement? What are we talking about?
That's the November last year announcement.
Okay.
We have some things going on with that happening, this quarter.
Yeah.
Where hopefully we can sooner rather than later, like the documents are on people's desks and stuff ready to be signed.
Nice.
So that we can in turn turn around and make a couple big announcements.
Does anybody else do this?
People are starting to try to do this. I mean, there's only so far that they can
It's
go.
shorter if you say no.
Okay. No. Yeah, because you have to remember, our technology was made for no one to be in the car.
Oh, yeah, because you were saying about autonomous vehicles are going to have to stop
Right.
at some point. Now I get it. Okay, so you backed into this. You said, okay, they're going to have self-driving vehicles, and we here in Pittsburgh sort of had a front row seat to all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Ubers with the
spinning
LiDAR on top, the spinning thing on top, right? It's like mapping out the terrain with lasers all the time as it drives.
Absolutely.
Is going to need to your point, park at some point. So you developed a technology for that.
Right, absolutely. And
That's what the November announcement was that you were able to do that.
exactly.
Okay.
And the idea, when you start hearing people like Elon Musk talk about, oh, we have the summon feature on our Tesla. Eventually, you're going to have a dismiss feature. And if you're parking in a place that has like coin meters,
nice,
right?
Yeah.
How are you going to pay for parking, right? And that's kind of our mindset behind the whole thing. And we built it out, and now it's time to roll it out and just canvas the world with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not sexy, right? Like
Right.
no one thinks about where the vehicle goes. They just want it to go away.
Exactly.
And that's actually cool. I love this stuff that's not sexy. I think that's where the money is, honestly. A lot of times, if you can just clean up somebody's mess that they forgot to, plan for,
Right.
you'll be just fine.
Right. Exactly.
So that's sitting on somebody's desk. Now, that sounds like that might be a break from what's normal for you, though. You've always been the lower cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
is this a departure now then?
I wouldn't say it was that much of a departure.
Okay.
Right? Because the part that was low cost was the enforcement side of things. Right.
Yeah.
Because if you
Well, you had said about infrastructure last time you were here.
Yeah.
It was really what you were defeating was people were investing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in infrastructure before.
Right.
I mean, is there infrastructure associated with like pay by car?
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, the important thing is we are working with fleets,
Nice.
right? So they already have,
Man, you have been busy.
yeah, they already have the tools inside in order to make this work.
Yeah.
Right. So pretty much all they have to do is go to their administrative interface and say, I want to use meter feeder. Right. And then often running, off
And it's
to the
just
races.
done.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to, so it's not just low cost.
Yeah.
We also want to focus on just ease of use.
So now, I mean, you got some pretty good announcements. You got some pretty good traction, momentum. These are all happy problems to have.
Yeah.
So what's the next hill? What's the next horizon?
So it's actually kind of funny because, we were talking about fundraising before. And, whenever I focus on fundraising, our growth stops. So now that we're at the point where I'm like, no more fundraising.
Oh, nice. You're done. Well,
Yeah.
for now at least.
Well, for now, exactly. Because I mean, we're always going to need some capital when we want to get to that next level.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we are definitely putting our hat in the ring to be one of the larger players. We have all the partnerships that we need in order to just kind of go door to door and just say, hit that checkbox.
Right.
And we'll start sending you checks.
That's nice.
Right. So, yeah, we have a lot of good stuff that's underway. So that's as much as I can tell you at this point.
No, I understand. I get it, right? Like there's definitely people out there that might want you to, tip your cards, and it's not good for you, right? I
Right.
get that, right? But I appreciate you at least sharing some of it. I mean, it was really cool having you come in here as our first guest, and it's also really interesting to see sort of where things have gone from here. Now,
Right.
You said something interesting though about like just check that box and let me start sending you money.
Yeah.
Like, have we gotten to that frictionless thing where you can kind of just roll into town and be like, hey, can't help but notice that, you've got parking spaces on the road. Check this box and we'll send you money. Like, can you do that yet?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the great things about, just being a software guy. Like me and my partner, we've been, oh my goodness gracious. Like every time I tell this story, it seems like another year's gone by. We've been programming together for about 18 years.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just one of those things where, I mean, we can sit in a room and just grunt at one another and we just build this amazing new product, right?
But do you call people and say, like, if you give me a approval right now, I will turn on my app in your town. Is that actually the sales pitch now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that's frictionless.
Yeah. I try to make it as easy as possible.
That's
for everyone.
I wish I could seriously, you think about some of the things where people have to come in and put hardware into your facility, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was just having a conversation with, some friends the other day, and, they're starting to move away from hardware deployments, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all of a sudden they realize like the hardware was a big thing holding them back.
Right.
Like once they were able to program around the need for hardware deployment, life got a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, if you happen to know anyone who is trying to get out of the hardware game and wants a white labeled mobile parking app, you know who to call.
A mobile parking app white labeled. Can you do that?
Maybe.
Just went live 3 days ago.
Yeah, it's got 5 stars.
Oh boy, give it a minute.
Yeah.
People in the App Store are terrible.
I was about to say that was my wife. But yeah, see.
Thank you, Mrs. Gibbs.
Exactly. It was really funny because we were looking at our stats and, we always pay attention to downloads and, well, we barely even pay attention to downloads, right? We got, tens of thousands of users, right?
Yeah.
So we have a grand total of 16 reviews.
Reviews, I know. It's same here.
And it's literally all 1 stars. Now, see, here's the thing. Think about who's the type of person who will rank your app.
Okay.
your parking app.
Let's go hang on. Go further back than that.
Okay.
Tell me who loves paying for parking.
True.
Because that disqualifies you early on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's actually kind of funny because we've had a number of people call our support line for the sole purpose of saying, I saw the parking enforcement officer walking down the street.
Oh, boy.
I pulled out my phone and pushed the button and paid for parking in less than 10 seconds. And I got out getting a parking ticket. So it's like the idea of, I just want to let you know that I just beat the system.
With you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, thanks for helping me get one over on the man.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's that's the only time that I've heard people happy to pay for parking. Maybe another time was when my parents came to visit and they had a chance to use the app as well.
Oh, they got real excited, I'm sure. But do you ever, when they call in and say that, ask for the review?
Yeah.
No. You look at your face.
Well, see, here's the thing. I do ask people.
Right. But that's the moment.
Yeah, but I'm pretty certain that nobody does. The whole purpose is to make you not even think about it.
Frictionless parking, just get it done, get it over with.
Exactly. Yeah. So the idea of, someone just saying, okay, take a minute out of your busy day.
Yeah.
You remember that parking app that you use every single day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why don't you just go ahead and give us a 5-star?
Now, do you ever do that thing that floats in their face and says you've been using this app for a while. Feel like giving us some love? Because it seems like everything on my iPad does that to me.
Well, it's actually kind of funny because we were kind of writing that today.
Were you? How about that?
Well, see, the thing is, it's we wanted to put it in a way where we can get some honest feedback.
Yeah.
And at the same time, try to push people towards that 5-star rating. Right?
Yeah.
So, for example, the way that it's set up is wait for you to use it for a while, right? 5, 10 payments.
Right. Yeah.
Then,
so you actually know what you're talking about.
Exactly. So then turn around and say, hey, notice that you've been using the app. How do you like it? Do you like it?
Yeah.
And they say yes or no. No. Text box. Please tell us why. Yes. Okay. Would you give us 5 stars? No, don't worry about it. You'll never hear from me. Yes. Yes. Okay. We send you to the App Store. Give us 5 stars.
See, but I hate this, right? I hate the fact.
You're correct.
No. You're doing something that has been proven to work by other providers.
Absolutely.
I get it, right? But I also think that the rating mechanism could be totally embedded inside of the app rather than making me go to a completely different workflow.
Yep.
If you make me go into the App Store, I don't know why, but I don't want to do that. I resist any invitation to do that. No, I want to do the thing I'm here to do, and then I'm going to go sit on the couch and do nothing. I don't know why, why I'm so defensive about that time.
You are absolutely correct. Well, see, not only that, it's I feel bad that you have to do it at all. I actually had a success the other day. This lady was
had more than one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this lady got in contact with me and she was like, this app is terrible. My car is is parked in the driveway and it said that I paid for parking in Braddock. Right.
Oh boy.
How dare you? Your app has been hacked.
Right. Yeah.
And then we're just
she was looking at her credit card statement.
She was looking at her credit card statement. I was
Had to be.
I was like, our office is in Braddock and our credit card processor doesn't process on that day. And she's like, oh, sorry for being a jerk. I was like, You said sorry.
Wait,
Can you go give us 5 stars?
did she have a bad rating in the system?
Yeah, I mean,
That said that you'd been hacked?
Yeah, these are like bad.
I just want to make sure I understood the conversation. Yeah.
The point is, we need to make sure that we know everything that goes on with our system.
Yeah.
Because we know that like, if someone audits us,
Yep.
like, we have all of that information right there for you.
Yeah.
Right? So this person goes on Twitter, just talks about how terrible of people we are, right? And curses our children, right? So the amazing part is, so I realize who she is. I find her license plate. I see when she paid for parking. I see that her bank rejected the payment.
Oh no.
And kept trying to get. It was $1.37. And she.
Why did her bank reject it? Because there wasn't funds? Or?
Well, it didn't say.
Oh yeah, you okay? Yeah,
it just said
it's
that
not your business.
it was just rejected from the bank. So of course the credit card processor just is gonna keep trying until it gets $1.37.
I want my $2. Yeah. And again, we're back to reviews aren't like. How do you win?
Yeah,
that's the only way she can hurt you now.
Yeah.
After her bank said that she didn't have $1.37.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she very well may have had $1.37 in the bank, but something might have happened with the bank itself. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
You know, but see, that's the thing. Like, we have so little control over, folks like that.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I have like those internal anger management courses.
Oh, boy.
So I don't just fly off the handle, because I don't want to rip this person's face off.
Well, it's illegal, Jim. You're not allowed.
You are correct.
So that choice is off the table.
That choice is definitely off the table. But see, that's the thing. It's like when someone says something bad about your livelihood. Oh yeah, it directly affects you and your family.
Well, and again, they did it in public because it was a means by which they could inflict pain.
Right. Exactly. And then a lot of times, because I always respond, "Hi, how you doing? Thanks for reaching out. Just so you know, this is what happened. Mm-hmm. Let me know if there's a problem. Security is paramount. If there's anything else that we can do, please contact us. We'll get to the bottom of it." So no one ever gets back in contact with us.
All right. So to close us out, I'm going to ask you one quick question, and that is, for all those people who are looking to find that first investor, the hard one, right?
Okay, right.
What's the number one thing they should be doing? What do you think gets somebody from 0 to 1 in terms of finding their first investor?
Okay, it's based off of a mindset, 100%.
Yeah.
If you say, "I don't need / I don't want your money," that's how you get it.
Interesting.
If you say, "I'm going to go heads down and build a big business because raising my revenue is much easier than raising funds," from VCs.
I believe this for a lot of companies anyway.
I mean, I was just talking to another entrepreneur like earlier today, no joke. They worked their butts off for a $15K check and they didn't even get it.
That's what I'm saying.
So I'm just like, look, think about it, bootstrap. And when all of a sudden there's an investor who's like, "Oh, you're raising money?" No, we're not raising money. So, fun stuff.
Well, I'm glad you came back in.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Man, it's always fun to talk to you. Jim Gibbs, Meter Feeder. Check him out at meterfeeder.com. All right, that's the end of the ride. Thanks as always for tuning in. Thanks to Jim. Thanks to Meter Feeder. A lot of good wisdom there, and I appreciate how forthcoming Jim is with what he's learned along the journey. That's it's not something everybody does, so I hope you appreciate it, and make sure to find them on social media and thank them if any of Jim's insights have been useful to you. I know, frankly, they've been useful to me. Jim's insight has come in handy for me several times. So otherwise, we're going to make another show. You know where to find it in your podcast app. Subscribe now. Who knows? They might someday remove that button. And then what are you going to do? Buzzy and I are going to get back into the studio. We're going to, make another show. It'll be out next week. We'll catch you then.
The Pitchwerks podcast comes to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
a production of the Epicast Network and McTaggart, LLC. Engineering and production by Buzzy Torek and Nick Miller. For more information, show feedback, and ad sales, visit pitchwerks.com. pitchwerks.com. On social media, find and follow the show on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram using that same brand name, pitchwerks.